like the High Druid knew that this was the way it was going to be. It's not like she didn't know it was active.
I'm just saying that my concerns of the druids being in an incredibly unstable situation with an agent of the blue potentially winning the position of the
If we
new
do
High
not
Druid.
bring this to the High Druid, yes. That was the whole idea. We need to bring this to the High Druid so that she can prove that her way is strong. And that we can work together. That she can work with us to acquire this and end something as unnatural as this winter or the threat from the Iron Sea. That was the whole point, right? To gain the support for her so that we do not have to deal with the dragons having more power in the Wildwood. If we leave with this, then I believe the dragons will get that power. And then suddenly you will have the High Druids people, and the Druids, for that matter, against the Empire in the middle of all of this.
Yes.
We've won nothing.
And we should also not go back on our word.
We discussed this already when we left out, I believe.
Yes.
I suppose you might have a point.
Now, let us move. It is not gonna get better before we get into the protection of the wood. There, I believe this artifact of controlling nature might have a more difficult time dealing with it. Nature is a personality as well, and she does not like to be enslaved.
Yes,
Whatever happens,
should...
I just hope that we succeed.
Yeah, we should get moving.
Yeah.
I don't like the look of that.
Let's move.
Yes.
Gorack, keep your axe low.
This is the middle of the night and a torrential downpour. I would ask who has a light source sufficient enough to withstand this.
Aha! In Aurelia's backpack, she has 2 magic glow sticks that were still left over from our adventure into the Underdark, I believe.
Equally, I have at least one on me. I don't know where it is.
You did buy those, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I kept those.
I do recall.
They have been on my
Alright.
token for tens of sessions.
Yeah. I don't know about tens, but yes. Leon does have dancing lights, which combined with the glow sticks do create dim light to help you all try and cut a swath through the quickly turning treacherous terrain, muddy landscape, since crops here aren't much anymore. This was a several-hour flight to the Wildwood, and now in the middle of the night, this turns into a slog. Aranas carrying the Orbis Storms as you folks pack up camp and begin traveling. It's about, in the flavor of red, neat. It is 10-12 minutes after you folks fold up camp and make your journey. A lightning bolt does crash down, but it's closer to where your last campsite was than your group traveling south. It's about several hundred meters behind you.
We braved the fangs, guys. We can do this.
Yeah.
Oh, no more than once.
Yeah.
The High Druid's magic is probably gonna aid us as well once
Yeah.
we reach the forest.
when we actually get to the forest, and then we should be able to get there without too much trouble if we just go to where the High Druid would be, as the conclave moves within it.
You folks have carried an awakened artifact for quite some time, and it also seems that in the case of Tempus Malleator, there is something else that is also active, and that is a certain staff that Tempus has carried with him.
Could have given that to Raptors.
As it turns out, the staff, which has been slowly trying to pick at Tempus's brain, although Tempus has not tried to bind with it, and so really hasn't been vulnerable to it at all, does end up burning itself out here and screams just sort of like a primal roar in Tempus's brain. And coinciding with that, a bolt of lightning does end up coming down, and the staff acts as a lightning rod.
Way! How much damage am I going to get?
This is definitely not a how much damage thing. An attack roll will be made, however, as the magical item is burning itself up here and is going to explode into pieces. Sacrificing itself in the glory of the Lord of Dead.
See, these items can be dicks.
Yep.
Saving itself in the glory of the undead, huh?
Well, it's sacrificing itself, not saving itself, kid. This will be against a physical defense.
Good luck with that.
You will only take half damage. That is factually correct.
Then the armor's like, screw you, staff. Shit.
35 points of lightning damage as a lightning bolt comes basically like careening down from the clouds, because of course it is, because it's fucking magically created instead of actually natural. And the staff that you're carrying of the Lord of Dead, the One-Eyed King, explodes. You only take half that damage.
Like 17?
Yep, 17 points of damage.
Rounded up or down?
17.
Okay.
It's always been a round-down system in this game.
Tempus will look a bit frazzled, as probably part of his backpack has exploded out.
Yes.
And he's kind of staring at his colleagues, and he taps the leather armor in a sort of, thank you, leather armor. That was much needed.
The armor, like, radiates like, cool, we're still alive. The staff is in absolute cinders.
Yep.
I'm wondering what else it destroyed if it exploded on me.
It probably tried to channel the lightning into you. I think the lightning destroyed id, but id led the lightning to you.
Possible.
At least an
Everyone's
evil
probably
fight,
staring at Tempus. Tempus, like, hair is standing on end. Like, am I alive? I can't hear my own voice.
You're fine, Tempus.
It's almost as if the tooth of the Green's gears are turning right now upon seeing that display.
Don't you
Do
get
I
any ideas?
sacrifice myself or not?
Would I survive the light?
Leon calls up, traveling like towards the back once again, that he can, he's handled this orb before. Don't have to be lightning struck.
I mean, maybe he should take a
The
look.
wood is only a few hours away. Come on.
A few hours means many lightning strikes.
I don't kind of fancy more things exploding, because Tempus doesn't know that it sacrificed itself. He's about as magically tuned in as a mountain is to the lake.
Other than the roar that suddenly popped in his head.
It was like, take this, Tempus! You're the Lich King! And then, so... maybe that would be a clue.
Tempus will probably look at his other magical items, the ones that he's bound to, and say, is everyone else okay?
Yeah, they all, like, slowly give their assent, like, radiating, like, reassurance tentatively.
Anyone else feeling like exploding?
No? Let's keep moving.
Alright. The group continues to push through the mud and the rain and an occasional lightning bolt, which is where I would actually like to get us into rolling dice. Not for the purposes of combat, but for trying to make your trek successfully. Landmarks are mostly non-existent right now. Although you do have light sources, which is why you're able to travel at all, the skies are covered, and rain is coming right into your faces. It is the middle of the night, at best maybe 2 in the morning, whenever you're right now. You've got quite a number of hours until daylight, especially because the sun rises later than what it used to. I want to know how each of your characters is going to persevere and lead this group over the very treacherous terrain now. I mean, it's not as treacherous as the Things, or the mountains whenever you came to Prince Arza's land, but the rain has picked up in quite a hurry, and it's almost as if the land gives way before the Orbis storms.
Well, Aranas might be going in front, so to speak, with the Orbis storms and like with his weapons, being able to basically carve a path through whatever might be blocking us. He is fairly strong and can certainly flip over most things or push them out of the way or simply.
Yes. You are in the open
move
countryside.
them. Well, then there's no real issue there, it would seem. So what's the problem again? What's the... like mud?
Well, other than the thick sheets of rain and the incredibly slippy and muddy terrain, there's an occasional lightning strike.
Oh, alright.
Can't really do anything about lightning.
The crows are also hopping along as best as they can.
Yeah. Should maybe tell the crows to, like, get away from us.
I suppose Aranas could do what he has done before, which is call for aid of the divine to bring down like protective spheres around us, perhaps directing lightning bolts away from us or shielding some of us from the wind and keeping the group together in the darkness.
Yeah.
Okay. How's Aranas? He's just gonna, like, try and use his magical knowledge and ability to deflect lightning strikes from an artifact?
Oh, he's going to pray.
Okay, he's going to pray.
That's the way of doing it.
Alright.
Geráck can't really do that much, but he will stick close to his brother, only for the fact that he's covered in more metal, and if lightning does strike near them, it will probably hit Geráck instead of Goger.
Aha.
Yeah.
Alright.
Make yourself to a lightning rod.
Yes.
Well, Aranas can make a prayer skill check to try and invoke the divine, though it's certainly not a ritual, and it's also not, like, a spell that you're using.
Huh?
Using your wisdom modifier in the background.
Sure. I would use my my warden background, my cleric background for this.
Uh-huh.
And my wisdom modifier.
Okay. Okay. Well, as absurd sounding as it might be to many people,
The power of prayer.
or luck.
Either or. So the ground's becoming like unstable and like slippery, right?
Your boots are threatening to get sucked into it, yes, and slippery steps can get you and your equipment mired in it.
Okay. Then my idea is this. So Jasmine, as the captain of the Ninth Imperial Scouts, has on quite a number of occasions had to move through treacherous terrain, especially during storms. The Seawall has a decent number of storms to them. So, at times, as a result, you need to be able to move quickly, and Jasmine has learned to be able to basically nimbly move across areas and try and essentially kind of feel out how the terrain is, see how much it sinks, and try and avoid herself getting stuck, and then try and move around to find a better path, find the least sink. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the word.
Okay.
Path of least sinking.
All right.
Oh dear. That acceptable to you, God?
I said all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jasmine works to find ways to navigate through the area which she calls home.
Alright. So Geráck, not being that nimble really, will just use his brute strength when he does get stuck, and also help his brother get out if he does get stuck.
And anyone else?
And the crows whenever they get stuck?
No.
Okay.
He can't help everyone.
It's actually
Alright.
just Constitution.
With that in mind, then, the crows are going to take their chances. They leave you.
Yeah,
Flying.
that's fine.
Not really a skill check, though, that you can make a Geráck. You can roll a d20 plus your level.
Plus strength, maybe?
For what?
Constitution, perhaps?
Hmm.
To not get super tired.
Yes,
Yeah.
Constitution seems more fitting. You
Alright.
folks didn't get much in the way of sleep. To try and endure the elements.
Goddamn.
Enduring.
Sleepy, sleepy.
Tempus, Aurelia.
Well, the Hydra did call Aurelia an overnight, and she has a point. She very much has a point.
As a sketch artist, if I make a picture of the Orbistorm,
I will make a charcoal sketching
Paper
in
with
this
you that we can hold
torrential-
over our heads to not get us wet.
I definitely can't argue for any of my backgrounds, really, unless I do something I did before, which didn't work out. You know, maybe while, like, walking around in the wild wood, as Aurelia has done for a couple hours at least at this point. Just randomly wandering. She might have looked around and seen some like flowers that she recognized or something that are most definitely poisonous and would be a terrible idea to step on in the rain because then they kind of burst and get spikes or whatever.
Alright, for one, Aurelia got lost, but two, I like your creativity so much, I'm going to give you a miscellaneous modifier of 1. No background.
Alright. Let's see, that would probably be intelligence, I guess.
Yes.
Alright, and a +2, you said? 1?
1.
1. Alright. You know, I knew this was going to happen.
That's
so,
about as well as that should have gone, right?
Yeah.
Everything is poisoned.
Oh, this flower is poisonous, she
ground-
thinks as she steps on it.
The ground is lava.
That plant's
Don't
poisonous.
step on that,
All
don't
these
step on the
plants
tire,
are
don't step on it.
poisonous.
Alright. Tempus.
Tempus will, in an attempt to avoid the muck, he'll probably try and take to climbing up onto rocks, trees, finding alternative methods to try and get over and through this, avoiding the potential
Like
quicksand
dilapidated
traps.
like wagons or like fence posts that he can just like run across.
Yeah, he'll try and find anything creative. Hell, even clumps of grass and bushes and shrubbery that he'll find to dart across and run across. And then recommend Geráck try and do the same and then laugh. But
Alright. I don't think Tempus has much of a familiar background with this situation. I don't think Survivor the Dwarven Games applies here.
if it was all rocks and masonry, then yes.
But you've just said like bushes and shit, so we'll say half of it.
Okay.
Every man for himself.
Is that what I get for being honest?
No.
Dexterity?
Yeah, and level.
Let's see that number 1. Like +6 +2 for the background.
Okay. Whether it is through prayer, or whether it is through the scout familiar with the terrain, managing to find a way, or whether it's through Tempus and his unconventional methods of, we can go across this, like, narrow band of, like, wood here, like, all these convenient logs, and, like, surf down something using, like, the back of a wagon. No. Whatever the case may be, the party is not even further delayed. An occasional lightning strike does hit. Some do get very close to the party. But there's no real frequency to them. They are random and sporadic, and oftentimes they are poorly aimed, appearing 30, 40, 50 meters away from the group. The Orb of Storms does not say anything, does not write anything in the air. It does slowly pulse its cyan and silver, though. Leon does not offer to carry it to try and dim its effects again. It's a very sodden process. You are all... I don't think any of you have resistance to non-magical cold. All of you are thoroughly chilled to the bone. Everything you own is immensely soaked, just like it has been whenever you've trekked up through the Fangs to go visit Prince Zarza's castle for the first time. It's almost as if you're in the Fangs again, as if the Orbistorms has temporarily recreated that experience. At one time, the Orbistorms does attempt to force itself to try and control Aranas. But through the power of prayer, or the tooth of the green saying, "Fuck you, this is my bitch," or whatever.
This is kind of why I'm carrying this thing. I have lived like this for
already
a long
occupied. And because, Aranas also really hasn't bound himself to it. He hasn't tried to use it. He doesn't have anything invested in the artifact. Because of that, perhaps just luck or the goddess, the Orbistorms is rebuffed with some mental exertion, but it does transpire. The storming does continue to follow you, though, for a number of hours. It's, at this point, it would be what would be considered sunrise. Even in these, unnaturally, lengthened nights. Only, there's still not that much light out. The primary light sources you have are the ones the glow sticks, and Leon's dancing lights. The crows are long gone. It's just your extended group, trekking as hard as they can. But, eventually, that's certainly not on the horizon, it's almost as if it just appears out at you from nowhere, is the massive and immense wild wood. And it is notable that a similar effect happens that you folks saw whenever Leon spared you from the worst effects of the Orbistorms. All of the storming and the rain, it's just a giant curtain that comes to a screeching halt at the tree line. And the trees, they're being kissed by sunlight. It's radiant, it's gorgeous. No real rain happening there at all, except for a light drizzle.
Tempus probably stopping on a log and staring at this, going, "Goddamn magic."
You have no power here. Let's get in that forest. Deliver this thing.
Yeah. The Orbistorms stops glowing, grows dormant, as the group draws ever closer to the wild wood. The clouds do begin to dissipate. No more rain, no more lightning. Though you all were thoroughly drenched, and after the trek that you folks just had, after only a few hours of sleep, in these horrid clothes and armor, and all of your equipment as coated with rain as it is like traveling in the Fangs. Caked in mud, perhaps, from slipping a few times. Oh, to be an adventure. Where's prestidigitation when you need it to clean your clothes? Your group has successfully made it into the wild wood, and the Orbistorms goes quiet. Now, perhaps it should have tried the whole lightning shit back when you were flying over the Midland Sea, but for whatever reason...
it could have fallen in there. Someone could have fished it up. Well, I suppose go to the Conclave? Try to find the High Druid. The magical way the forest works.
Yes. Attempting to navigate yourself in the wildwood, especially with this heavy, immense concentration of magic, is a highly disorienting experience. It's far more disorienting now than what it was whenever you were last here, 2 or so weeks ago. There is a greater concentration of energy in the air. It's immense. Foreboding in its own right, to the extent that even non-magical people can feel it. Those with no connection or ability to sense or perceive magic at all can feel the intense energy emanating from the moss, from the leaves, from birds that are chirping in the branches. It's an immense buzz of power that like needles itself against your skin. The navigation does not require a skill check to make. Aranas does have some familiarity with walking through these forests, though. But what he ends up at is not the grove that you initially rested at, nor is it a grove where you encountered the High Druid. Instead, the tree line abruptly clears, and you see, well, for the wild wood, a mammoth construct, a massive, multi-story tall building made primarily out of wood and stone. It's almost like a gigantic amphitheater or a coliseum. And all along the outsides of the innumerable, well-decorated archways are treants and humans and elves and dwarves and gnomes and halflings, wearing all manner of brown and green and gray clothing, carrying a variety of implements, bedecked in whatever finery they see fit to. A number of people wearing open signs of the Elf Queen, or the Dwarf King, or the Orc Lord, or the Three.
Hmm.
You have massive contingents here, and so many clamoring voices just on the outskirts of this. This would be 1/3 the size of Newport before all the refugees, and all these people are crammed in this singular location.
All of them have character levels.
The energy that you felt whenever you entered the Wildwood is adamantly rippling across your skins now. None of you have druidic connection except for Aranas, and even then it's tenuous at best. This is undeniably... It'd be hard to refute it even for a servant of the Archmage. The raw power of 10,000 plus druids gathered together. There are actual dragons too. Green and black and bronze and copper amongst the thronging, teeming masses as well. Legions of druids. Some of them are aloof and stand away, and others are engaged in intense conversation too. There's treants, as noted before, along with creatures that... it's like massive bears and tigers, as if like they're like were creatures, who too are discussing or laughing or scowling or insulting. This is the Druidic Conclave. The very theater that Superior Terapta spoke at and was thoroughly humiliated at.
Fuck.
Quite intimidating.
Yes. We
Good
have not
thing
come
Geráck
so
is
far
fearless.
to turn around
Yes,
now.
indeed. Just stroll in.
Well, I suppose we would walk towards it, like the treants would look like guards, perhaps, or...
Actually, no. There are no guards posted around here.
Yeah,
Perhaps
I thought they
because-
might not need them.
No,
Yeah.
instead, it seems the treants themselves are engaging in discussion and interaction, as if they themselves are a part of this endeavor. There's, in addition, a number of centaurs, which I don't think any of your characters really have any familiarity with. But you certainly heard legends of what a centaur would be, and that looks like a centaur.
There's like free elementals as well.
Yes, there are. There is a number of serpentine creatures as well, heavily scaled, as if they're like man-sized snakes.
The Naga.
Radiant, like aquamarine and cyan colored.
Druidic power is, or free nature is a pretty uniting prospect, everything considered. Yeah. Well,
Slowly walking towards the conclave, though, of course, as you enter this massive clearing and approach it, several individuals, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 of you, are thoroughly drenched, of course. And none of you look like you belong at all. Eyes amongst those thousands swivel to regard you. Individuals among the Elf Queen's group, among the Crusaders group, the Dwarf King's group, among the group undeniably tied to the Three. And there are dragons who also look at you and take notice. For your group also radiates a power of its own, a legacy heralding back to all the adventures you've had together, and it is irrefutable that you carry with you the Orb of Storms, its unnaturalness, a blight within the wild wood, a reminder of how the Archmage has attempted to control nature, to bind it in shackles. The orb is thoroughly connected to the Empire, and there is no mistaking its existence right here, before the Conclave.
well, I suppose it would be better if the Hydroid had been accepting it personally, but I don't think she has much time away from this whole thing.
Probably not.
So, well, I guess we should. It seems room to interrupt, right? But maybe that's also kind of grand in a way, just walking in the middle of this.
Yes, you folks are definitely on the outskirts of it. You're not even inside the archways. There's just all these people who have gathered around outside and looking through the wooden and stone archways. There's also plenty of people gathered in the open air, multi-terraced seats too.
Well, I suppose we'd walk close and ask for passage.
Oh, excuse me, get out of the way. Oh,
Yeah, it's
me. There is no need to ask for anyone to get out of your way.
I thought so. Yeah.
Walking as your straight arrow towards the actual amphitheater coliseum is enough to make anyone who is standing in the way, even the most surly of elves or the most ignorant of halflings, scamper, giving you a wide berth.
Those people seem important. All right. Well, yeah. I suppose Aranas will walk in front with the orb, since it's kind of why we're here. He also has the connection with these people. So
I'm imagining that if we just walk straight in and then straight through the other end and leave. Just
Nope.
that would not be a good image.
Yes, getting closer to the building, you notice, perhaps rather bluntly,